Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, comrades and friends, today we're going to be reviewing a basic chain of command for a teachers union. We're going to be defining the roles of each level of the hierarchy, in addition to maybe talking a little bit about a sample situation, like how it would go down to this hierarchy here. And so without further ado, let's get into it. So starting off at the bottom of the hierarchy, you're going to have your teachers, and your teachers are protected underneath the contract, and every single person in this chain of command is going to be a teacher, and so everybody's protected. But at the bottom here, you just have your standard teachers. They're not involved in any union leadership capacity whatsoever. They are just teaching, doing their job, going home. Right? Now, your teachers might encompass a number of different people. You're going to have actual gen ed teachers. You might have intervention specialists. You might have counselors, etc., etc., etc. Each union does it differently, but don't be surprised if there's different positions like a counselor in a teachers union. So you say to yourself, well, they're not a teacher. Why are they lumped underneath my contract? Well, that's because your union decided that, and they decided to support other positions and bring them on into the fold, which may make a lot of sense because then you can have more collective bargaining power because you have so many more employees encompassed underneath the contract. And two, it might make it even easier on the administration, right? Because instead of having to deal with multiple different unions, and so they might even like that, right? But let's say you got a number of different roles down there, and let's say that one of them has a problem that happens, right? So let's say there's like a teacher, and they're entitled to a 45-minute lunch on behalf of, in accordance with their contract, but they're only getting 20 minutes from their administrator, right? So they're entitled to 45, but they're only getting 20, right? What are they going to do? Who are they going to report this to? And whatnot, right? So first, they'll probably just talk to the principal and say, well, look, our contract says this. Principal shoots them down. They could care less, right? And so you could say, okay, well, they're going to go to the building representatives. And this is the leader who is tasked with representing the entire school on behalf of the union. And so the building representative or representatives are either elected or unelected. Maybe they're just appointed, but they are going to try to give advice to the teacher in a lot of situations. They're usually pretty familiar with the contract. Maybe sometimes they can look to other people for advice themselves and then come back to the teacher with advice. So maybe they can go to like a certain committee, or maybe they can go to the union president and vice president for advice, and then they can go down to or other union building representatives and whatnot. Then they can go back down to the teacher and like try to give them some advice, guidance moving forward, or maybe they can even directly go to the administration themselves and say, hey, look, like, guys, this is the contract. You have to follow this, and if you don't, I'm going to take this to a building representatives meeting, and this is going to become a big problem for you. But let's say the principal doesn't care. They still don't care. They don't want to give them the lunch time that they're owed, and so the building rep says, okay, fine. Right, so they're going to go to the building representatives meeting. The union president, vice president, treasurer, recorder, secretary, they're all going to be there. We're going to have maybe some committee members there, which are usually just building representatives themselves, and so all the other building reps are going to be there, and they're still talking this through. And union president will probably say, hey, look, okay, I'll go talk to the superintendent as well as the principal. We'll sit down and say, like, what's the deal here? You guys got to honor this contract. And then if not, they're going to file what's called a grievance, which is essentially like a formal legal dispute on the matter, and they will try to resolve the issue. Usually it could even be in court if they're not going to budge, right? And so that's the building representatives' roles. Committees might be in charge of certain specific things, like a scholarship committee providing scholarships to past students or current students, or even maybe like a grant committee and whatnot, trying to get money for the union. But they're just different roles. Usually they're just building representatives. They're trying to help out the union in some way. Then you have union president, vice president. They're usually in charge of hosting a bunch of different events for the union. They're in charge with helping to write some of the contracts and whatnot. And again, that might be a separate committee itself. But they're really following everything, making sure they're handling all the different disputes across all the different schools. Usually they might not even, sometimes the president might not even work as a teacher. Sometimes they're just off, which is pretty cool as well. So they get to, they're not really off, right? But they get to obviously not teach, but they can do all their other duties themselves. Do all their other duties instead of teach, right? So that's what their day's bargained for. Anyways, that's really like the roles there. These are going to be elected positions, always at the top. Union committees may or may not be elected, and that's the hierarchy. So thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Follow me at Phillips USA on social media, and thank you very much.